Woohoo! Okay, let's check all the things. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Prep for Wave Week. We're just checking the tech on our end. Looks like it's working. Hi, I'm on Facebook. We're on Facebook.
Yay. It's a good place to be.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Here, I'm just going to pop this into our group. And we can get started. Thank you so much, Shannon and Steph, for being here. Everyone, please let us know if you can hear us. If you cannot hear us, comment below. We've got a couple people tuning in. Hello. So Shannon from Gifted Travel Network and Steph from Host Agency Reviews, I am so honored to have you both here on today. We're talking about, I think, not our favorite in terms of like, we just love being burnt out, but something that I think is very relevant for the industry and something that, knock on wood, is hopefully going to happen, meaning that we're going to have an influx of bookings this wave season. So we need to learn how to protect ourselves, protect our energy before that happens.
Absolutely. It's a new wave, right?
Yes. So I know after the crazy year that we've had. So Shannon, can you just give us a snippet about what you do with Gifted Travel Network before we dive in deep?
Yeah, so I am Gifted Travel Network's membership and engagement specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So I do things with the members, engage, host events. I'm the MC for the annual conference. Things that are engaging, keeping it's not even about keeping morale up, but I get to host the graduations for our travel MBA program. I'm hosting some virtual events for our vendors, popping in and helping with our vendor lounge. We did have a show called Travel Connections Live during 2020 that I was the host of. So a lot of things to create and generate engagement with our members so they can be a better service to their clients.
Awesome. And Steph, how are you and Host Agency Reviews changing the travel industry?
What do they always say in Silicon Valley? We're disrupting.
Disrupting, that's a good word.
Yeah, if it hadn't been used so much, it would have been. But I started Host Agency Reviews about 10 years ago with the idea. I used to work at a host agency and was really frustrated with the amount of info, or lack of info, I should say, that was online about, like, we were having this problem where the industry is graying out and no one thought travel agents existed, but yet here we have no footprint, or reputable footprint online, I should say. Mm-hmm. It was like you go on there and you might find some travel MLMs or some sketchy websites that aren't disclosing, when things are paid advertisements or not. And so the idea behind it, I was also really frustrated too, dealing with prospective ICs all the time. I wasn't frustrated with them, but I was frustrated with our industry that, the people would be comparing our agency to like an MLM or someone that was super slimy. And I was like, it's not their fault. How are they supposed to know? Mm-hmm. My idea was, I also have a background in education before travel. And so my idea was to make things more transparent on the amount of host agencies that are out there, who the good ones are and who the bad ones are. And then also use the blog as a way to educate people about like the questions that I got every single day repeatedly. Mm-hmm. Instead of just putting up a template email that was like, here's how travel agent commissions work. I wanted it to become from like a third party. So that's kind of the idea behind it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And you guys have been doing both of you guys, I feel, have been at the forefront of things that everything that's transpired and just education and support for the travel industry. So thank you so much for that. Now, I know we talked a little bit about it before, but why I think that talking about burnout is important. I have an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's disease. So I have to have certain boundaries up because stress is something that gives me symptoms flare, and symptoms flare are not great. I know Shannon, you guys at Gifted Travel Network are a huge advocate about putting balance and focus in the travel industry and in the businesses. And then Steph, we kind of have a similar but different path in health. So whoever wants to go first, kind of how are some, or what are some signals that you're finding when you're starting to get burnt out? What are those signals that are like, okay, I gotta slow something down or put up a boundary?
Shannon, go ahead first.
I think one of the signals of burnout is exhaustion, like just so tired that you can't even sleep, and you still are sitting in front of your computer. Like you're not allowing yourself to take the time away, but you just feel like you have to do that. But you're tired, you're exhausted, you're cranky, you're aggravated. Little things will frustrate you more than it normally would. And then especially, like if you catch yourself snapping at a family member or a pet, even, that's like, okay, maybe I do have too much on my plate. Maybe it's time to take a breath, shut the computer, turn off the phone, and take a step back. Those signs are definitely signs of burnout. Or just, if you catch yourself rolling your eyes when the phone rings or when you open an email, those are just little signs that, how many eye rolls did you do today? How many sighs did you take? Those are definite signs of burnout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And for me, similar to Rita, I have an autoimmune condition, and mine can be pretty debilitating. Like right now, I'm going through a flare. So if when I'm talking, like sometimes my breathing gets affected, and so I sound like I'm gasping for air. Just ignore that if it happens. But for me, there's a couple things like on the business side when I am feeling healthy-ish and normal. Some of the things that I look for is like, I am naturally a very optimistic and happy person. And when I'm unhappy, that's a very big sign to me. Or if I'm not enjoying going to work, because I really love going to work when I'm feeling healthy, and I love helping people. And when I'm, like Shannon said, being like irritated about something, and I know it's not what I would normally be irritated about, I know that that's a really big sign. And I think it was Steve Jobs, maybe not, but someone famous once said, like if I look in the mirror every day, and if there's like 7 days in a row where I don't, or like a month in a row where I don't enjoy what I'm doing, then it's time for me to really look at a change, either a change in position or how I'm doing things or the processes I have set up. And just in terms of, I think during this pandemic, it's like mentally been so wearing on everyone, no matter what your situation is. It's just bombarded with things that drag you down. There's something like in the chronic illness community called the spoon theory, where you only have so much energy. So it's a really silly kind of analogy, but it works really well. Like, and I think for people I always tell people like during the pandemic, like, not being able to go out and do the things you want to do, and like just feeling really weighted down. It's very similar to having a chronic illness. Like I can't go out a lot when I want to, and I can't do the things I want to do. So the spoon theory is like you only have so many spoons every day. Like maybe you have 10 spoons, and higher energy things take more spoons out of there. So you really have to prioritize where you're going to put your energy that day. Like, are you going to do it? Like, for instance, today did not have a lot of energy, did not do my hair, did not like really put on any makeup, but I was like, the most important thing to do is to show up and like have energy to talk and make it. This is on the 3rd floor of the house, so I have to walk up like one flight, which is hard for me when I'm sick. And I was like, got to make sure I have enough energy to do those things. And so it's all about like, I think prioritizing, first recognizing and then prioritizing what's going to get you more bang for your buck.
Right. And no, you make a really good point in prioritizing, because I know last week I had come from like kind of a whirlwind of 2 travel weeks on cruise ships, and there were things that had to get done. And one of my signals was like, there was like, it's almost like this pull in my stomach. Like it was stuff that I love to do, but I was like, I almost felt grossed out by doing them. And that I was like, I know something's wrong. And kind of what I actually talked with my therapist about it. And she's like, try and eat the frog, like what you were saying, and kind of like just do the harder things, more time consuming things first, and then kind of like ride the wave of everything else. So
wait, can you explain what eat the frog is? Because that's very peculiar.
Eat the frog.
I don't know that.
It's a book.
It's a book. Yeah,
No.
where you eat.
Uh-oh. She
I know.
froze. So you eat the frog. It's by Seth Godin.
First.
Okay, you do the hardest thing first, which is eating a frog. Nobody wants to do that, so you do that first.
Ah, gotcha. This goes along with the Halloween costumes. Totally out of it.
Right. It's a really good book by Seth Godin. Yeah.
So what do you both do to kind of like when you feel that burnout kind of creeping in? Like, do you kind of put the brakes on things, or is it kind of like an instant signal? Okay, I need to like close out my calendar. Or what are some of the things when it comes in that you know you have to do so that you're not getting overwhelmed?
Do you want to go ahead, Shannon, since I just did a soliloquy?
Yeah, that's okay. I've actually been ahead of the game with burnout, thank goodness, by putting into some practices that have for about 2 years now, maybe a little more, but definitely very habitual for the past 2 years. So I don't get into that burnout mode. And I started taking care of myself because I realized how valuable our health is. So, I exercise 3 to 5 days a week. I meditate every day. I journal. I breathe. I don't answer my phone at certain times. Never on Sundays unless a client is traveling, but they know on most Saturdays after 12 and on Sundays, I do not answer my phone. I don't open my emails. I took my emails off my phone. I turn off notifications on my phone except for text. And I've just really put into place boundaries and practices. And I do my walks and my exercising first thing in the morning. So I feel completely fresh and, focused for the day. And along with that, I take my lunch breaks. I don't sit at my desk and eat. I get away from my desk and I take a real lunch break, even if it is in my own kitchen. I don't answer the phone. I go in the kitchen and I stand while I eat because I sit all day. So I'll stand up and eat my lunch and I watch whatever sitcom show I want to watch. Usually it's Friends. But it's because I'm not thinking about it. I'm just watching Friends and watching Joey and Chandler and laughing. And my mind is just not focused on work and, oh my God, what if this happens? What if this? I mean, we have had a crazy 2 years almost,
Right.
And it's been by setting those boundaries and enjoying myself and my time and putting myself and health at the forefront. I don't see burnout. And when you do that, you are being a better service to your clients because what help are you going to be to them if you're burnt out and stressed? You want to show up as the best version of you for your clients, for your husband, for your partner, for your kids, for your animals, for your neighbors. You want to be the best version of you. And the only way to do that is for you to take care of you.
Right. Put your oxygen mask on first.
Exactly.
And what about you, Steph?
Let's see. So one of the things I do, because like with travel advisors, like there's busy seasons and there's not so busy seasons. So what I try to do is plan ahead, like knowing that every year, like for me around this time is kind of busy because this is when we're sending out our media kits and reaching out to host agencies. At the same time, we're getting ready for Host Week, which happens in January. And so there's like these big projects that aren't normally on my plate during that time. So what I try to do is during the quieter times of the year is go ahead and start thinking about, like, before things actually get crazy, trying to automate, refresh myself with the CRM that we use for the host agencies. So I think one of the most helpful things for me is planning ahead and also putting in a really strong infrastructure of processes. And that's really, especially because with my illness, I'm in and out of the office quite a bit. Like this flare has lasted for 3 months and it's been awful. I'm burnt out about it. But yeah, like when I have processes in place, it makes it easier so I can hand it off to a team member, like being able to delegate, whether it's a team member that you work with or you're hiring it out to an independent contractor. Like, let's say your bookkeeping like takes you a long time, you don't enjoy it. If you have, the money and the time, it makes sense to farm that out. So those are like the key things that I do. And in terms of like just personal wellness, I always like listen to my body, like, because for me, can be really severe ramifications if I push past. Before I got sick, I could push past without really severe ramifications. I would just be really burnt out for a little bit. But now I'm really good at being like, okay, I can't do this today. Like I need to rest or I need to do this. And I also love meditating, Shannon. That's something that's been really helpful for me.
Yeah, I actually need to get back into my meditation, but I'm pulling this off. I don't know if it's going to read correctly, but it says take 3 deep breaths, and I have that on my laptop, and that's kind of like if I'm in the thick of things, like that little reminder kind of like helps ground me as well. And is kind of like that trigger of like, okay, we need to get back and centered. I know boundaries is really hard for a lot of people. They're like, oh no, I have to be available all the time. I will say that I was probably guilty of that. And this summer when I went full into entrepreneur mode, I put up all the walls because I was quickly finding myself, like, if I was not putting up walls, I was not being a service to myself and I was not being a service to the people that I was serving. So how can people get comfortable with putting those boundaries up? Because I know a lot of people are like, you're telling me to put boundaries up, but I don't even know how to do that. And that doesn't feel good to me. Why are boundaries of a benefit?
Go ahead, Shannon.
Sure. I think you have to make it easy. You have to simplify it. So like I started off with putting my emails on the third, like I had to swipe 3 screens over before I could find my emails. So if I don't see that red dot with 50 or 1,000 or 10,000 for some people, I don't get as stressed or think about it. Or, so first I hid my emails from myself. You have to play tricks on yourself.
Right.
Then I turned off the notification for it. So then I found I wasn't looking as much. So that helped me not to constantly be checking my emails on my phone. Then that started feeling comfortable. So then I was able to delete the emails off my phone.
Right.
And so it's just breaking things down into simple, doable steps. It's not cold turkey, shut the computer, turn off your phone at 5 o'clock and be done. Do things that are easy for you, that makes it easy so you're not freaking out. You don't want to cause more anxiety by setting boundaries. But once you realize the boundaries actually give you freedom, and that freedom is so refreshing, and it can be scary at first, but you realize, okay, I can breathe. I can go in and cook dinner. Oh, look, let me read a book, a real book. And nobody died, hopefully. We're not brain surgeons.
Right.
It's okay. Obviously you want to stay on top of things when you have clients traveling, but the email can wait. It can wait an hour. It can, and you don't want to be reactive to it either.
Right.
To any situation. So once you realize you can not check your emails, not check your phones first go an hour, then go 2 hours. I mean, sometimes when I'm doing work, I take my phone and put it in another room, and I get so much work done that way. But, just the idea of not having this in my hand or where I can see it gives people big anxiety. But once you realize that you can be more focused, And doing it in simple ways helps ease into those boundaries. And so now, I knew working out at 5 o'clock in the afternoon was probably not going to happen for me. So I would not wake up in the morning and check my email. I would get up, and to make it easy, I slept in my workout clothes for about 3 months till I got into this routine.
Nice.
So I made simple, easy things. So I'd sleep in my workout clothes. Then I got to where I could just leave it out. And now I don't even, I just wake up and get up and find it and go work out. But I made my boundaries be me. I didn't get up and check the emails and end up in my pajamas half the day. I put me first. So doing simple things, just make it easy for yourself and make it small and doable.
That I love that, because I personally have started to put my phone on silent, and then I'll put the phone face down. So I'll have it next to me so it's there, but it's also not a distraction, because I was finding all the notifications, all the ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Okay, let me do this. And then I go down the rabbit hole. I'm checking social or checking voicemail or checking emails. And I was supposed to give a quote to somebody 2 hours ago.
Right.
What about you, Steph?
I think one of the best boundaries I've put up is with social. I used to be really active with social, and I know not everybody has this luxury. Sometimes that's like the route you get your business from. But like for me, I was like, again, don't have a lot of energy. And we all know that social is just a complete time suck.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I was like, well, why am I posting on social? Like, what's the purpose? And, is that like helping my company? And in some ways, it very much is. You're getting visibility, you're, in top of mind for people. But again, it came down to like prioritizing, and social media just wasn't really worth it for me. Because I would be like thinking like, oh, like what interesting thing can I post today? And, there's a lot of like effort and time. Like people like to make social sound like it's carefree, but it's like for a lot of people, especially if you're being strategic about your business, there's a lot of thought that goes into what you're posting. And some stress that comes with it. Like, oh, I only got like 40 likes on this. Like, what did I do wrong? Or
right. How can I make it better?
Yeah. And I was just like, I don't need that weird algorithm pressure on me. So I've stepped back from that, which has been really nice. There's also like some technologies that I've used to kind of put in boundaries. So one of them that I tried, ever since I got sick, I've been really good at not like when I check out, like I usually work 6 hours a day when I'm feeling good. That's one of the things that host agency reviews that was really important to me. So with our team, we consider like 30 or 32 hours full time, and everybody gets full benefits. But I just don't I don't think 40 hours a week really gives you enough time to enjoy life and do the things you love. And I want my team members to love what they're, to have good work-life balance and to be able to spend time with their kids or their friends or whatever they want. But one of the things I realized when getting sick, because before I got sick, I was a real go-getter and worked a lot of, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of energy, but I did work like a lot of hours too. And I realized when I got sick, so I was on medical leave for like 2 years and very, very sick. And like my business did not fall apart. Like a lot of people have this like weight on their shoulders that the world's going to implode. And for you guys that are listening, like as a travel advisor, yes, if you're not answering client emails for 2 years, that's very different. Mine is kind of an online business that can run itself. But it was very eye-opening for me that I thought the world would explode and be so awful. And it was like, oh, actually, like things keep moving, like the world goes on without you. So if you need that time or whatever it is, it's not going to be that bad. But the two technologies that I've used, one is I try to use the schedule button on emails and on Slack because sometimes I'll work odd hours based on what my energy levels are. And like if I'm sending someone an email at 6 o'clock at night, I don't want to get an email like back in 20 minutes that I'm going to have to answer. So I'll like set it for the next morning at 9 a.m. So I keep my emails that I'm sending to work hours. And then there's also Boomerang it's like a Gmail app extension. That one has, I can't remember how much it is a month, but you put this on and you can say, don't send me emails, like stop all emails, like only give them to me twice a day at these times. And that was amazing. And it sounds like you can also send an auto response that says to everybody, like my inbox is paused right now. And I'm like, if there's an absolute emergency, go ahead and they type something in like the subject line, I think, that makes it come through. I can't remember what it is, but that's never happened. No one has that pressing of an emergency. And even when people are traveling, there's only so much you can do. Like, if they're in destination already, a lot of times they're going to have to work with the insurance company or like the tour operator anyhow. And you can get involved with it, but you don't need to, like, it isn't like 20 minutes that you need to be ready for everything. So those are like two technologies I've really liked that do the filtering for me and make me stop. So.
Well, and I think too, kind of like stopping the immediate answering of emails helps clients or whoever you're working with to realize that subconsciously that you have a boundary, that it's okay that they're not answering you or you're not answering them right away, but you will eventually get to them. Because I remember, like, I need to answer right now, and I've been a little bit more slower to answer certain things, and the world does not end because I didn't answer the email correctly. And I think it's just kind of like retraining our brain, because we've been trained to do everything instantly with especially with social media, to kind of like slow down and like, this is the new way of business. And if you're going to take weekends off, then you can take weekends off, because that's been a big boundary for me, even though I don't follow it all the time, but I try at least not to answer communication on weekends to kind of keep that boundary. For everyone that's listening in, please send us any questions that you may have, because we're about to wrap up. But before we do, I did want to give Shannon and Steph just a few minutes. Is there anything going on with either of your organizations that we should be aware of, something coming down the pipeline, or especially with the holidays coming up and wave season?
Go ahead, Shannon.
Let's see. GTN's we always have exciting things going on and coming up. But we like to lay low around the holidays. For good reason. We've got lots of things going on in-house with our members, but I know you can be on the lookout for March for Book More Travel Workshop. That's always a very lively event, and it is going to be virtual this year again, because we want to be able to reach as many advisors as possible. So look out for Book More Travel Workshop 2022. It's going to be a good one.
Awesome. I cannot wait. It's one of my favorite events every year. So I'm
looking
forward to that.
The pictures do look really fun.
Yeah. And I get to host it this year, so I'm really excited about that.
Awesome.
Yes.
And what about you, Steph?
Well, I would say the big thing we have coming up is Host Week in January. And let's see, is there a way I can put the link in the chat, or no? I don't.
No, I can't. Yeah. What is the link though? Or do you?
I just private chatted you about it. So Host Week is like, if you're looking for a host agency, whether you're switching or a new advisor, it's a great way to meet virtually. A lot of different host agencies. We hear from industry leaders about like the different associations or educations that are out there. So it's a really fun event. And you can go ahead and register at the link below, or you can go to hostagencyreviews.com, and there's our events calendar, which is, Shannon, we need to get the Book More Travel Workshop up there, I think.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, you'll see Host Week up there. So that's our big fun event.
Yes.
Before we head off, I did get a question. Any advice for those who do travel as a side gig? I have a full-time job besides manage my travel business.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to?
You take it, Steph.
I would say, to be like, we always tell people that it's going to take a couple years before your agency gets off the ground. A lot of people do this part-time. and it is tough to balance it. But a lot of people are really understanding if they know that this is your second job, because a lot of times it's people you know directly, or it's like a friend of a friend, and it's a referral. And so they're very understanding if you have an out of office that says, these are my hours from 6 to 9, or whatever that is. So I would say stick to those hours. I think naturally as entrepreneurs, we're all very driven to grow our businesses. But it's important if you're working 40 hours a week, and it's a side gig, that you have time and energy to do it properly. So that means that it might take a little bit longer, but just in your head, know that it's going to take, I think, 2 to 3 years before your agency really takes off if you're doing it part-time. And knowing that in your mind and not putting this pressure on yourself that you need to have everything done right away, can be really helpful.
Yeah. And I would like to add in, just as long as you make sure to schedule in time for yourself and do things intentionally for your full-time job and your travel agent job. And your travel agent job is a real job. So whenever you're referring to your travel job, don't say this. I hear a lot of people do this. They say, well, my real job, I have to do this. So being a travel advisor is a real job. Whether you're doing it part-time or full-time, it's a real job. And as long as you take it seriously, and then you can phase out the full-time job and have travel as a full-time real job. So once you click that switch and realize it is a real job and be intentional about it, I think that will help you focus better.
Yep. Really great tips. Thank you so much, Shannon and Steph, for being with us today. I so appreciate your time. For anyone who is wanting to get some extra time with me and put a plan to implement, study hall is going to begin in about 5 minutes from now. If you haven't purchased your study hall pass, here is the link to go ahead. It's just $25 and you get access to an extra 30 minutes from me after each session, and co-working and maybe even some masterminding in those sessions. So I'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for being here at Wave Week. Again, thank you, Shannon and Steph, for being here. I appreciate the support for this week.
Thanks for having us.
I have one more thing for Lindsay, too, I just thought of.
Yeah.
If there's a way that you can go ahead and, with your full-time job, figure out what kind of overlap there is between the travel industry, like your business, and the full-time gig, to try to let's say there's an opportunity for you to attend a marketing conference, or take advantage, try to make it so, I don't want to say synergize, but try to make it so that you're getting the most out of your full-time job. If there's a way that it can help your travel agency, then head down that route if you can.
Transfer those skills.
Yeah. Good luck to everyone during wave season. Thanks, Rita, for doing this for travel advisors, and Steph for all that you do at Host Agency Reviews. Gifted Travel Network loves Host Agency Reviews.
Oh, thank you. We love you guys too. We love what you do.
All right. Have a great Monday, everybody. See you at 3 p.m. We're going to have our next session, Contracts and Agreements with Tom Carpenter. Bye for now.
Bye.
Ciao.